Okay. Thank you. In front of you this evening is an ordinance that would authorize the township's entry into a guarantee agreement related to the municipal authority's Series A of 2016 guaranteed sewer revenue bonds. Recall we were here earlier this year presenting the guarantee ordinance with respect to a refunding transaction for the series of 2016.
Everybody hearing?
No.
Is that better?
Better.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. We were here earlier this year presenting an ordinance whereby the township agreed to guarantee the authority's series of 2016 bonds, which refunded the authority's 2011 bonds. The 2012 bonds are also outstanding, and these Series A of 2016 bonds would refund most of those outstanding 2012 bonds for debt service savings to the authority. So this is an ordinance that would authorize a guarantee agreement that would enable the township to deliver its guarantee, the authority to sell its bonds, and to realize debt service savings for the authority. The authority has already adopted their bond resolution whereby they set a savings target such that the transaction can't occur unless a minimum level of savings is accomplished in the bond market at that particular time.
Which is?
I believe it's 2% of the refunded bonds.
Yeah. Dollars and cents.
They're refunding about $9.5 million of bonds, so the savings, the minimum target would be roughly in the $200,000 range.
Obviously, we're required to participate for the deal to go through with the authority.
That's correct. The authority's bonds, because they carry the guarantee of the township, do receive a AA3 rating from Moody's in the marketplace, which allows them to float bonds at a very attractive interest rate because of the township's strong credit rating.
Is there any of this money being used for the Lawrence project through their design and things like that?
It's not, no. None of the savings are being capitalized. They're being returned to the authority just as budgetary savings in lower debt service.
Anybody else have any questions for us?
You asked them all.
What?
You asked them all.
At this time, we do need to take action on it. If there's nothing further to ask, is there a motion to
So moved.
sign with the municipal authority?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Yeah, we used to do a roll call vote. Did you require one?
I would mark all as aye votes.
We do in our minutes, but you feel free.
That's the way I'll mark your voting certificate is all.
Yeah, anybody have any problem with that? All right. Or if you bring it up, we'll get it signed for you. For item 204, 2016, it's a subdivision plan application number 2016-0039 for the PDV property subdivision located on 3232 Miller's Run Road. I think somebody is here from HMT.
Where is do you know where this property is?
Who are you asking, Elizabeth?
You?
I know where it is, but I don't know where HMT is. Bruce, do you know what they're asking for?
Yeah, basically, there was a subdivision. This is actually the Winkles.
Right.
This is Winkles, did you say?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
About 6-8 months ago, the property owner came in, or their agent, HMT, came in to do a lot consolidation for the lot you see right now where it says gravel. They're looking to expand and due to some state regulations under LCB. They just didn't have enough of parking, so they've acquired the additional property, which is to the immediate left, which is about 40 by 120 deep. So this would also consolidate that lot as well, lot 33, for their purposes.
Bruce, they were before the zoning board about 5 or 6 months ago.
That is correct, and due to the fact that there was a lot of complications, they withdrew their application there at that time.
Well, they were there, and I guess it sounded like the zoning board wasn't going to approve it for, was it just that parking issue, or was it something about non-conforming status?
It was non-conforming status, and also that there was a lack of parking, that they could meet the parking requirements. So this is why they acquired the additional piece of property.
Will this cure that defect that concerned the zoning board?
Yes, it will. They wouldn't have to go back to the zoning hearing board this time because they'll meet all the setback requirements as well.
Okay. Any other questions for Bruce on that? Dan, you've seen this?
I'm good with it.
It's good enough for us.
Mr. Kreider is usually here. Should we possibly move this to the end of the agenda or give him a chance to?
Anybody have any problem with it?
No.
I think the zoning hearing board wanted to cooperate, but they just couldn't because of the configuration that existed at the time, so they cured that. All right, is there a motion to approve that subdivision 2016-039?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 205-2016, it's to consider the installation of 6 fire hydrants on Sir Patrick Drive, Sir James Drive, as part of the Windsor Woods Plan Phase 4. Any questions or comments? Bruce, I know, shouldn't you work with number 3? Cecil number 3 on it?
I did, and actually, I was received a great deal of assistance from Chief Poverick, Paul Pivac, and other members of the Cecil 3 Fire Department. They've reviewed this, and they're comfortable with the locations.
Is there any, is there a motion to approve this 6 fire hydrants?
I'll make the motion.
It's been
I'll
moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 206-2016, it's consider the release of funds for the installation of public improvements in Ridgewood Heights Section 5R from $126,369 and change to $93,845.40 change. Contingent upon final settlement, including payment for issues related to the driveway restorations for the residents Libertor and Brown within 5 calendar days. If this is not settled, the cost of the driveway work shall be authorized to be paid by the township with the developer's posted funds.
Why wouldn't we just wait? I mean, what's the rush to?
Dan, you want to just bring it up first? Wait a second. Dan?
The issue of the driveway, we've been contacted by the residents, Brian and Libertor, who live on the property. We had a meeting there with Mr. Bryan at the beginning of October. I think it was late September, and we were trying to get resolved with driveway restoration. This plan is such that these houses were already built, but they have their access onto the new road. So we had agreed to get this restoration done. Mr. Bryan had agreed to it. I wrote a letter on it. We were trying to get this done by October 31st. For whatever reasons, it didn't happen. The water company and other things on utilities to get in there, it's not yet happened. So the residents are now calling and they're concerned that their driveway's not going to be fixed. So we were trying to bring closure to this issue. So that's the reason why it's on there that way.
Well, why not just not release the funds? I mean, what restoration needs to be done? Is it painting? Is it?
Well, there's people, to answer your first question, there's people that need paid, including the paver, Hilltop Paving. If you don't approve this, then they won't have money to pay their bill to the paver. They had additional security in place that the residents could be paid directly from the other security, putting aside the issue of the bond release tonight. So they're due the money. They're due the money tonight to be paid back per the developer's agreement.
Who's going to, where it says, for issues related to driveway restoration for residents, Libertor and Brown within 5 calendar days, who has to be satisfied? Those residents?
Yes.
And the $32,524 is enough to more than cover that?
Well, no, you're releasing 32,524. There's still a total of 93,000 still left in the.
Okay.
Those are two different issues. One's for the road that we put in, the new road, and the other's for the second part of this is to fix up the driveway for Libertor and to give access for Brian's driveway too.
Who didn't get the work done that was supposed to get done?
Well, I had a meeting with Dan, and I agreed that, well, the plans call for us to, when we put the road in, that we would replace, we would make a smooth transition with in-kind material to those two residents' driveways. Okay. Now, Libertor's driveway, he has two driveways. He has a governor's driveway in front of his house, which was affected by the road. And he has a side entrance garage which really wasn't affected by the road. But his driveway empties onto that road. And the same with Brown. Okay. When I talked with Dan, I said, okay, it says in-kind material. No, they did not have driveways. All they had was gravel in those two driveways that empty onto the road. The governor's driveway is concrete, so I met with Dan and I said to him that, okay, we definitely got to replace Brown's driveway with concrete because it's in-kind material and smooth transition, so we're going to do that. And the other driveways, Dan talked me into, even though it says smooth in-kind material, all they had was stone on the driveways. They didn't have concrete. I agreed to put concrete in those. Now, we went out and we got bids. We had a little trouble getting some bids, couldn't get a hold of people, it took a couple of weeks to get a hold of them. Finally got a hold of them, got some bids, and, but the problem is, we're putting in a water line through there, and it goes right through Brown's driveway. The man that was gonna do the concrete installation wants to do them all at one time. Now, Libertor isn't affected by the water line, but Brown's is, so, and he was gonna come up and do them all in one day or whatever he had to do. So, we had to get approval from the township to get the water lines in. We came to the township and told them we're getting the water line in, and then they had a problem with the fire hydrants. They said they were too close to each other. They weren't close enough to each other.
Who had a problem with the township?
Well, Bruce.
Okay.
And, which turned out to be incorrect, okay? So we were supposed to get the chief of the fire department down here to sign it, but he doesn't sign those. The township signs those things, okay? So, all right, so we had to come back. That took days and days to get resolved. So we send in our money to the township, to the water company. They have a supervisory fee on there that they charge. We sent that money in, sent our contracts in to sign it, and lo and behold, we're not the people that are supposed to sign the contract, it's supposed to be the township, okay? So we had to come back, and this is all taking place. It's like, weeks to get this stuff done, okay? And it's holding up the whole project, okay? We finally got it resolved, and then it went back to the water company. The water company is like a public utility, and they take forever to do everything, okay? We just got approval from them like on Wednesday, okay? I immediately called Rich Andres, who's a resident of the area. He does really good concrete work. Brian's known, Libertor's known. They'd be happy to have him do the work for him. I told Rich I need a written bid so that I can, show it to Libertor's. And but Rich went out of town on Friday, so he hasn't supplied me with that. As far as I'm concerned, as soon as he supplies me with the bid, I will write those two residents a check, and they can have Rich do it. That's all I'm waiting for.
Okay. That was, okay.
It's a long story.
That was a really long story, but that's okay.
I'm just waiting, all I'm doing is waiting for, just to get the bid to put it to them. Now, they went out and got some bids, and there may be a little bit of, what they want, Brian's is open and shut, it's just a, 10-foot piece of concrete in there, it's no problem. But the Libertors, I told them I would, on the driveway that comes out of their side entrance, I told him I'm going to put 12 feet of concrete in there. He might want 24, so I don't know if he's going to have a complaint about that or not. But
that's my concern is if we're approving this contingent upon driveway restoration and then there's an issue between Libertor's grounds and you on, we